everybody! Welcome back to 17 Carat K-Pop, and an overdue episode of 17 Talk. Usually when a new 17 release drops, no pun intended, but I wait at the most 24 hours before dropping a new episode, dissecting every detail. But this reaction/review/theory session about 17, I intentionally postponed until all 4 of the new corresponding videos came out to go with the new songs on 17 is Right Here. And I actually thought, you know what, plenty of Easter eggs, plenty to talk about with just the 3 out of the 4 new videos. So I'll admit I recorded this before the final Cheers to Youth video came out. I thought, that's it, that's enough. You'll get the gist of what these videos have in common. But then Cheers to Youth came out, and I was so moved by it, and it just felt like such a perfect encapsulation of all the main points I brought up in the episode. So what happened was I pressed record again, did a whole reaction to the Cheers to Youth video, put it in context of the messages sent by the other 3. I had more to say, it turns out. This is kind of a 2-parter. The first part of the episode, everything to do with Spell, Maestro, and La La Lee. Part 2 might sound different, because that's my recap of the Cheers to Youth video, my reactions from right after watching, on a different day. This episode's hopefully a collage of sorts, where the disjointedness makes a nice, beautiful big picture anyway. Alright, enough intro. Let's get into it. I wanted to highlight specifically 30 things to note. 30 Easter eggs, 30 commendable traits, 30 noteworthy fun facts, 30 components of this 17 era that we need to stop and appreciate. In no particular order. Here is number 1. I have to say the consistency with the branding. We all love the 17 Right Here slogan. Lyrically and just the album title, love that. And the way they keep the diamond logo a part of their settings. One of those examples this time is with the diamond-shaped detailing on a window. Similarly, number 2, the home theme. A big gray house is what the album cover resembles, with bursts of color, colorful activity, and props and symbols in the windows. So there's lots to read into there. The fact it's a home for you to go, they're right here with you to be your home, very on brand for them. The fact there are 14 images, that's notable too. All the other windows are closed, but the ones that each seem to open up into a whole different world, there are 14 of those. They've done this before with 14 notable moments, like the 14 big lit-up ceiling panels in that bowling alley in Home Run. 13 for the members, the 14th is for Carats, for you to be included. And the objects in those windows bring back memories, just so many different past eras. So it's a very encapsulating, celebratory discography tribute of a cover. Related to that, number 3, their uses of color. In that case, the symbols of their past eras are the bursts of color that brighten up the gray building, showing music adding literal color to their surroundings, nothing new for them. They were spray painting the walls in Pretty You, Adore You. They had all the rainbow-striped instruments and literal rainbows in Gotta Music, where they also ran around with these splattered in color outfits. And now, in a 17 is Right Here main teaser image, there's a house that's spray-painted multiple colors, a big tie-dye effect, with lots of paint residue left forming pathways of sorts, walking paths before the house. Besides just rainbow, specific colors have also been utilized to help symbolize something. 17 have had a clean slate moment again and again, wiping the board clean for a new adventure, a new beginning, with all white outfits, Lily Yabai to Gotta Music, Trauma. They have white outfits yet again in Spell. Then there are eras with all black outfits too, like Hit and Getting Closer. And now they wear all black for part of Maestro. Plus the guys wear matching black jackets in La La Lee, which they notably spray paint green on. Besides black, white, and rainbow, they've also done everything in between, color symbolism-wise. Like the green light, the green spray paint now. In the past, there were green lasers in Boom Boom, green light in Getting Closer, and Gotta Music. Silver is often part of their color palette too, in meaningful ways, shining literally in metallics like a diamond. They had that silver focus with some of their outfits in Hit, which also featured silver confetti and structures, lots of metal, gray, and silver. For this new era, tons of that. Tons of silver pieces, especially in Spell. And don't forget their use of orange, which seems to be affiliated with scenes focused on expanding horizons, traveling to new places, or exploring new ideas. When they were pitching movie plots, their office had that bright orange carpet in Clap. The new video for Maestro has an orange bridge, orange butterflies have appeared in several other videos. The orange car in Happy Ending might be the one that's back in La La Lee. Escu wears this blue velvet jacket, just like the matching outfits in Boom Boom. You might be thinking, Hope, these color continuations, couldn't they just be coincidence? In some cases, I will very much insist it's not, like with the silver, sparkling, shining outfits. But in other cases, I might be open to saying it's a coincidence, like their use of neon green. However, the point is not so much to remember what specifically those colors represent, as the fact that sometimes intentionally, sometimes not, there's this natural ability, a testament to their natural artistry, for 17 to evoke patterns and pattern recognition and, just at a very deep psychological level, create these satisfying visual worlds that match the richness of their auditory ones. They're master storytellers, and the ways they find layers on layers through which to send a message. Sometimes it's accidental, but that's still impressive. They're naturally skilled at this. Which brings me to number 4 on here. Their hands-on is always involvement. They're always so involved in every step of the process, and actually were for this one the day after Gotta Music promo ended. They jumped right into this stuff. They really do seem like they go from project to project without a break, because this is not work for them. Like, they really have fun with this, with what they do. They love it. At least I hope that's the case, that they're not rushed into it. But anyway, lots of them have official production credits for this album. 7 of them, to be exact. Number 5, I appreciate how they continue to give each subunit equal shine. A separate video, a separate song, the performance unit, the vocal unit, the rap unit / hip-hop. It's so fitting that it's just everybody together, all one unit for Maestro. A song about empowering every person to be their own maestro, find themselves capable of living up to the title of maestro. In the past, too, they have emphasized the number 3 that represents their 3 units. They overtly said, for this comeback, the winding walkways, the paths to the house, the spray-painted house, there are 3 of those paths to represent the 3 subunits that all make their way to the same home at the end of the day. Where the diamonds are, the diamond windows, and all the color and paint, very symbolic. In the past, they've had 3 versions of albums, like 17th Heaven plus FML. That title was meant to stand for 3 different things. Notably, since we just talked about color symbolism and people who add color to your world, one of the 3 FML meanings, faded monolife. Number 6, fun and nostalgic promo. I really liked the rollout for this promo. It was really smart, I think, to have the music video rollout be delayed. So week after week, you got a new surprise. Then album promo felt like it never lost steam. It just kept picking up again. In the midst of a Going 17 season premiere, it was the month of 17. Love to see it. I like how the promo was new for them and nostalgic. Nostalgic because it was like a digital archive, a mini museum of sorts, online if you went to 17isrighthere.com. But then they tried something new with the ice cream trucks in 2 major US cities. If you were subscribed to their email list, they told you to decode a puzzle, know the password for free ice cream by a specific 17 designed ice cream truck. I'm pretty sure quite a while ago on this show, I pitched the idea of like K-pop merch sold to you via ice cream truck, or like a mobile library but for K-pop merch. So maybe they heard me. Anyway, it was a good idea. I honestly would have just showed up for photo cards or other bonuses and to meet other carrots. They had promo posters throughout the US too. The promo was definitely worked. Multiple music show wins for Maestro. Over 3 million stock pre-orders were made. 17 is Right Here sold over 2.2 million copies on day 1. Plus it reached number 5 for its debut on the Billboard 200 album chart. Number 7. The way their storytelling is so all-encompassing. Like I said before, there are layers to it. The lighting, the camera work, the choreography, the wardrobe, the props. They don't let a single detail be wasted when it comes to really immersive, thoughtful, detailed storytelling. As I detailed about past eras in a set of deep dive essays I will link to in the episode description, there's so much there, so much to read into with every new video because of all the great moves they make in terms of cinematography, really. The video for Maestro utilizes so many of those techniques I detailed in past episodes. The way they make you feel like you're immersed in the action. Like, remember the feeling like you were flying, swooping through the air in the start of the Dream video? Now this time it's like you were the one being whooshed back during parts of the action. It feels very hands-on. You are the person put smack dab in the middle of, at times, chaotic scenes. You also had that sense of being in control, watching something big happen with the pop-up computer screen moments that harken back to the early days. They continue to use constant frame changes, from looking upwards, aerial views, to you're looking down at something, from a CCTV perspective to a fisheye lens to an upside down or shaky image. They do that kind of stuff here quite a bit. And add on to the this is performance art, really. This is a show within the show, amplifying the Truman Show-esque performative nature of their work, like when Mingyu in Maestro is in an empty auditorium. A lone spotlight on him and the one audience member. The show within a show sensation, the sense you're watching a big immersive spectacle, a fictionalized production, that's very heightened with the inclusion of ending credits in La La Lee. And notable about the La La Lee ending credits is that the post-credit scene is something just falling out of the sky. Something abruptly drops. It's like a Truman Show moment. That's a movie they've overtly been inspired by before, and I think still are. It's like the moment Truman gets a clue, oh, I'm part of a TV show, when a spotlight falls and lands by him. Something abruptly falling into a scene, causing a plot twist, that is not new to them. Remember they did that with the baseball and home run, falling from the sky, and the guitar that fell from the sky in God of Music. I really do want to belabor this point, just because I do think this is one of the reasons I've been so blown away by them. They're just so one of a kind for me, remarkable, all the many ways their imagery is detailed. So I also have to shout out the ways they interact with you via camera lens, like in past eras they painted the camera, or it looked like the camera fell on its side, was kicked. In the new video for Spell, Dino wipes off the foggy lens. In La La Lee, the scene appears for a quick second, like it's a movie projector reel playing out in someone's pupil. Like you get a literal eye-to-eye perspective of the action. Taking in the action that's actually happening within an eye, that look of a scene was part of the Dream video too. And I always want to go back to reminding you the plot listed in 7 categories in Boom Boom. In that video, they had a mission with 7 steps, and in hindsight, it looks like it foreshadowed their future eras of what would unfold in their videos, like this is the script they devised. Goal: avoid bombs, defend the ship, avoid laser sensors, disguise, surveillance, hide the box. Quite a bit of that seems to be coming back in past videos, so I always like to remind you about that ongoing potential heist movie they've been working on, or making sequels for. I'm going to talk about some of these together, but they're separate on the list of 30 notable comments I have. Number 8 and 9 are the ways they harken back to specific settings and symbols of past eras, not just overall themes and techniques. That's number 7. But 8 and 9 is how they pay tribute to their past through the location, choices, and props. And number 10 details the teaser pictures, the 2 main sets, the airbrushed house setting and all the Easter eggs therein, and the main set of pictures that form kind of a messy collage. A bunch of fragmented paper that together completes this full puzzle, with their logos for different eras, symbols from past eras, props from past videos, all forming a big collage. So all these nods to past eras, I just want to talk about in kind of a lightning round really fast. So buckle up. I really did, I kid you not, I'm such a super fan. I really went through a little checklist of their discography, and sure enough, they do indeed have a nod to pretty much every era, multiple. So here's my ultimate super fan decoding really fast. In Spell, they once again help tell a story through choreography. When June walks through the rows of dancers who pose like roofs, like their hands together to form archways, much like the home era choreography. Also in Spell, there's that fortune-telling tent full of prediction things, plus Hoshi has a crystal ball of sorts, notably in a scene with those symbolic butterflies. That fortune-telling idea, the themes of magic, casting a spell, creating your own destiny, looking into your future, essentially making your dreams come to life. That preparing for a great future for yourself, that's an outlook and a theme from the FML era about taking back agency. And as Joshua's fortune told him in the fortune cookie, I'm paraphrasing, but do it today, not tomorrow. Your luck is as good as it'll get, so seize the day. The fact the fortune-telling tent is there is notable for being a tent period, like the EMA era tents. In Maestro, the members surround the 8 and kind of make hand gestures in response to his own, like he's the conductor controlling what they do. Back in 24 Hours, the 8 was in control too. He made gestures like that of a clock while the others were lying down, and the folding chairs then were flying around him. He was working magic, literal magic powers here. That conductor role of controlling the other's movements, that was what Mingyu had the role of in Clap, and what June had for a minute in the Getting Closer choreography. So in the past they have, with just things like waves of their arms, kind of led the next action. A display of, again, each person can have time to shine as the main maestro, of who people follow the lead. Playing cards were a big deal in Home Run, becoming part of the image on the front page of the paper when they had that squabble at the card game. And now playing cards are a key format through which all this action unfolds in Spell. Sometimes it's split screen, so like one half of the card has a scene unfold and influence or even literally reach out to the other half of the card. Bringing to mind in the past, Time 17 have literally talked to kind of broken the fourth wall over a different scene that was simultaneous. Scene hopping. What look like twinkle lights cover the floor for part of Spell, although in another scene it looks like they flipped so they cover the ceiling. Also notable about that, the colorful twinkle lights were a big part of the party scene in Ima, in God of Music, Spell, Not Alone. In La La Li, Wanwoo wears red sunglasses. He broke his old glasses, now he has new ones, and they're red. You could read into the color red. You could also just read into the fact he's wearing new ones after he stepped on the old ones during the hot era. This end to his old, mundane existence. The sense everything could go away in the blink of an eye, in a computer glitch moment, a computer virus pop-up moment. That was part of the whole green screen set of gimmicks in their first video. That feeling is back now, not just with pop-ups, but the abrupt scene cutaways, all the ways flashing lights are followed by sudden appearances and disappearances. Things are glitching in and out without you being able to fully process it before they're gone. A rapid back and forth, a speed of light back and forth that time is flying by with. Yet another way they play with the sense of how fast or slow time is. In past videos, the focus seemed more on slow-mo, but now it's the opposite. It's frantic footwork to match frantic light flickering. There is kind of a domino effect to the movements of the robots they befriend. The dancing robots all kind of work together in straight lines, reminiscent of the ones they had in the school hall in Mansei. Also from their early era, skate ramps. Vernon sat on one and very nice. June was skateboarding in Not Alone while trying to capture the moment with a camera attached to it. The skate ramps are back, this time painted to look like piano keys. So Joshua is conducting the skateboarders. Lots of layers of meaning there, not just a throwback to past 17 eras, where they've sung about both, like in Pretty You, struggling to get out the right words, and not needing words to get out their message. Music will do talking for them. That theme is back, as is that constant theme in their work of you can make anywhere be a musical act. You can make the world what you're the maestro of. It's not contained, it's not limited. Anything can become your orchestra. There's not one right way to be a conductor. That music is magic ethos also shows itself with the baton kind of working like magic, it seems. And long story short, in this video, 17 learned to befriend and magically work well with literal robots. The sense of magic and the supernatural forces at play, we get a stronger sense of still with the lightning strikes. Those take place in spell. That lightning strike transition causer, like cosmic forces are altering the state of their world. That was part of fear, part of clap, part of FML. They seem to magically summon circumstances. Remember back in the _world era when, like, the fire hydrant exploded, lots happened without touching anything. It would just happen as if telekinetic. Well, this time, in La La Lee, just one stomp of Wanwoo's foot is enough to trigger him to teleport. And all it takes for Mingyu to shake up his world is to jump off his perch and land and cause everything to go flying. Then he sits down casually for a game that looks kind of like chess, which just made me think of Call, Call, Call. Okay, I'll get faster now, with more connections. The color teal is a big deal in their story. It was a big part of the teaser website for this era, for good reason. That was the color of Mingyu's suit in Clap. That is the color of a wall in the set of 14 images for the album cover. The items in the other windows of that gray house include a hot air balloon. Balloons were a big part of several past videos. Beakers, science equipment, like the experiments in the Pang scene of a highlight medley and Adore You. Baseballs, obviously the home run era theme, plus Wanwoo took a baseball bat to a boombox and Clap. DK wielded a bat in Life in a Minute, the short film. A motorcycle, reminding me of the Attica era and Call, Call, Call. A bright orange sun, obviously Face the Sun era. A sunflower, a key in Getting Closer. Some type of Lego or other building block, some toy, like the Jenga blocks of sorts, the colorful domino type toys played within the Face the Sun highlight video. The butterflies, the lollipops. June had the lollipop while meaningfully wearing the shirt saying, "To love yourself is a long life," in an Attica era preview. A mini boat, like an origami boat. The boat was a key part of FML, Boom Boom, My. Those are the main things I spotted. Motorcycle, the colored teal, baseball, sunflower, sun, blocks, toys, butterflies, the balloon, the lollipop, the boat. The airbrushed house, the spray-painted house, is not just notable for the diamond in the window and all the color, the 3 paths to the front door, but also the fact the floor is sand, like the floor in Trauma, several past videos with beach settings, the desert and hot. One decal in the yard, a fake cactus, spray-painted too, to look like the house. There were some cacti signs in Adore You. Some literal signs, street signs, are around this house. They use literal signs to tell the story also with the Attica era, the Face the Sun era. One of the street signs says pause, take a break. Without a pause, no comma or anything, just pause, take a break, those 4 words. A fun irony with that semicolon era coming to mind with the message of calm down, take life at your own pace, mixed with that sense of urgency that the album Attica was named after. Attica being a term for jumping to the next musical note without a single second to spare. There's a red X on one of the signs, as well as crisscrossed rows of playing cards on the screen in spell that formed an X. Reminding me of the red X's that were drawn on music store windows in Gotta Music. In past times, they formed an X with their lines they formed, crisscrossing each other from a bird's eye view, look like an X in Don't Wanna Cry and Oh My. On top of the collage picture of all the members surrounded by past album memorabilia of sorts, a teal sticky note. Let's recap so far. So I've gushed about, number 1, their branding, staying on brand. Number 2, the album cover. 3, their uses of color. 4, their hands-on involvement in this album. 5, their equal value given to each subunit. 6, the fun nostalgic promo. 7, the way they keep utilizing every detail to make their videos as cinematic as it gets. 8 and 9, things that brought back to mind the settings and the symbols of the past. 10, all the details, those Easter eggs in specifically the two main sets of teaser pictures, the ones in the collage format and the ones in the airbrushed house scene. Number 11, the auditory Easter eggs. It wasn't even just visual. Maestro I love so much for combining so many details that just take you back. Yet it still felt like a cohesive, not jumbled, cornucopia of sounds. Most recognizable right off the bat, the bass and guitar riff in Adore You is back. There's six other, at least, audio Easter eggs. They took some percussion from Cheers. They kind of interpolated part of Super. A synth part of Fear is put into the second verse. Another synth part is put into the pre-choruses now, which was in Rock With You originally. Then there's the organ glissando from Very Nice, put into this new song in a higher range. And elements of the reverb, the background in Oh My, that choir, that's back in this song too. Gosh, they're so clever. Number 12, let's appreciate the lyrics too. Yep, auditory, visual, and lyrical Easter eggs. That's 3 sets of Easter eggs. There's the number 3 again. Okay, that is just a coincidence, but still, they're so brilliant. Maestro is a great message. Like I said before, we can all be our own maestro, move through life to the beat of our own drums. They have that Your Choice era deference too, with lyrics like, just tell me which rhythm, your wish is my command. Amidst complex notes, I'll always be with you. That message, like I've written about in past essays, let the music talk, trust what the music says, let the feelings take you. It's okay if you don't have the right words. I'll still be here for you and just intuitively, at a deeper level, understand you. They reference a couple specific music terms in here, one being a scherzo. A scherzo is a type of classical music, often later on in a sonata or a symphony, usually just a playful, fun twist in the action. They also reference accelerando, which means speeding up in Italian. And it refers to the name of a sci-fi book, a set of books really, short stories, we'll talk about later. Yes, I went down a rabbit hole about accelerando after one reference. You never know, it was fascinating. Anyway. Number 13, now let's talk La La Lee lyrics. A very I don't care attitude, like don't mess with me, I'm living life, my way. Yet surprising depth too. So a super just fun, don't mess with me song, but a deeper layer too. But the depth is viewed as whatever, I just do that naturally. I don't have to think about it. They have lines like, current status is airplane mode. They literally say bring it on. They have a line in here about keep your hands in your pockets with your attitude, and that is a sign of disrespect in Korean culture, when you put your hands in your pockets. So they're really belittling their haters in this song. And they taunt their haters because they stay winning, with lyrics like, it's annoying, huh? We're the thorn in your eye. On the stage, no one can stop us. And they're pretty right about that. The depth comes from a couple of very different moments. One is when they shout out the greenhouse effect. You can laugh at me if you want, but yes, I did do some research just to be sure. And that greenhouse effect they talk about is when heat is trapped by gases in the atmosphere, heating it up because it can't escape. The depth there is it contributes to the warming of the world and the increased imbalancing of climate and nature patterns. So it's not just a lyric about we're hot, it's about we're so hot, we're changing the patterns of the world, the course of nature, an all-powerful view. They also seem to view themselves as all-powerful with a reference to Calypso. You know me, especially if you've listened to my past episodes about mythology references in K-pop. I'm such a nerd with this stuff. It's so weird, but I love it. Calypso is a sea nymph who holds someone hostage for years on an island. She begrudgingly, eventually, lets him go and gives him some tools so he can build a boat to leave. Like, fine, you can leave, but I'm not helping you do it. You build the boat yourself. One reason she agrees to let him go, let Odysseus go, after kidnapping him, is because Zeus tells her to, and he argues it goes against fate and the prophecy for you to be with him. That wasn't meant to be. Let him free. Calypso, the name, refers to the word for to cover or conceal or hide in Greek. That theme of fate and fortune-telling, classic 17, The boat in her story also makes it an apt shout-out. Her ego, too, matches the style of the song. Number 14, you guessed it, let's talk the Cheers to Youth lyrics. Hoshi said the inspiration for Cheers to Youth came from a conversation that was just kind of casual among the members, but it ended up being material Woozi was like, wait, this could make a good song, and he took notes. It became this song. For a casual conversation, it got quite serious and insightful if you ask me. The intro talks about singing together, singing your worries away, living in the moment, the healing power music, all that good stuff they're always on about. And they count. I know that's such a weird thing to freak out about, but I just love it. So many of their songs have literal counting, 1, 2, 3, or 1, 2, 3, 4 in the lyrics. There's just something about it I love. Maybe it's one of my autistic weird traits that I just perk up with counting, with that sense of order in their noisy delights. There's got to be something psychological about counting in a song and why little kids like it. Like something about tapping into youth. Your inner child might be stoked by just counting, going back to basics. So anyway, I love that they did that again. They sing about how they don't want to be alone. They're searching for happiness. No, they can't find that in their phone. And just celebrate what they do find happiness in, the little things. There's an interesting indirect nod to Ima, too. That song where they sing, even if the world ends tomorrow. Like, even if yesterday and today are it for us. Yet, the final refrain now says, even if tomorrow is the first time we meet. Again, this is a song about going back to basics, starting a story over from the beginning. Number 15, The Spell lyrics. From the blooming to the ocean references, their go-to symbols I've detailed at length in the essays linked to in the description make reappearances here, so metaphorically, very classically, them. And more reminders to not rush life, trust in fate, and that things are working out as they were meant to, with the timing they were meant to. Everything is going to be okay is a through line in their work. Number 16, the way they used tech in the Maestro video. I'm very much a fan of no AI going anywhere near the world of music. Frankly, I just really think it doesn't have a place there. Someone could prove me wrong, and if anyone could prove me wrong, it would be these guys, but still not sold on it. It still kind of makes me upset. But anyway, they did have some AI put into Maestro. What I admire, though, is the way they took the it's gonna be here, might as well use it approach to the trend. Like, if you can't beat them, join them. And made it just such a classically wholesome 17 twist. A lot of robot takeover kind of stories that are cinematic have a very just apocalyptic darkness. Naturally, like I said, their influence does get me worried, but 17 took it in a they're just friends we haven't met yet approach and befriended the robots, made music with them, and were not overtaken by them. Now that's a unique way to update your power music message sending. Number 17. Say the name 17. The character-specific continuity. So specifically certain 17 members, they have certain go-tos in music videos, and those return again in these videos. Let's start with Vernon. Vernon takes a mic out of the microwave. The microwave, get it? In La La Lee. He also literally took the mic, took charge of it in Monse that started the action. Plus, he has these red leashes he uses to tame, to hold on to the robot dogs, reminding me of those red strings from the Fallen Flower era. And a scene in Maestro is by a big wall that a car crashes into, a la Home Run, Left and Right. Even Pretty You, too, had a car crash into the wall. Mingyu had a metronome with him in his Inner Shadow solo video. Now obviously a metronome is a big can't miss it symbol, a giant building-sized behemoth lit up like a landmark in Maestro. Woozi is naturally back with his beloved piano, most notably on the rooftop, the elevated platform. He was on an elevated platform too in his Inner Shadow video. June wears a newsboy cap, button up top, a look reminiscent of the style of his uniform when he was undercover in Boom Boom. And Seungkwan wore a suit and tie, both in 24 Hours and his solo Inner Shadow video, meaningfully called Concrete Maze. Seungkwan is back to a black tie look. Then there's Wonwoo, who's back to wrecking havoc, basically, looking for trouble. He smashed the glass with the baseball bat in a past video. He was part of a boxing match in several past videos. Now he challenges anyone to approach him for an arm wrestling contest. And he is confronted by a bunch of guards, the SWAT team, just like in the FML era. He actually spent 2 days training for those stunt scenes. Number 18. The ways they literally make their mark, like leave proof 17 was here. One way is through messages spelled out on the ground. Like in the past, the pieces of us, bits of streamer spelled out pieces of us on the ground in IMA. In La La Lee now, they spell out the title with the water residue from mopping. They leave their mark also in that video when SQ chills in the back of a car and holds out this roller brush with paint. So he's making lines of paint on the ground as the car moves. A big roller brush was used to add literal color to scenes in Clap. Then there are all the flyers, the pages, the self-promo, like the flyers everywhere in IMA, flying everywhere in Happy Ending. Now SQ tosses some papers up in Maestro. They also make a mark literally, just physically. In La La Lee, they get out of the hotel room by jumping through the wall. So what's left are cutouts shaped like humans taking leaps dramatically out the window. The now windows, because light goes through. Number 19 on here, I had the metronome, because that's extra important, but I just mentioned it earlier. Number 20, the uses of makeup to add to the story. La La Lee harkens back to the videos with the red lipstick smeared, or something similar. Blood-like red smears on their faces. That was part of a big pivot point in Fear for Junhan, and SQ in Hot. Now, that's Mingyu in La La Lee. Then there's the presence of a glittery look, like all the glitter covering Joshua's face in Fear. Now June has that glittery makeup in an interesting back and forth between his cleaned up, fresh-faced page boy look while he's a conductor and some dark, gritty, mysterious setting elsewhere at the same time, back and forth. Perhaps in one, he's playing a character. This alter ego is fictional. Which one? That's up to interpretation. Number 21, SQ's sauna scenes in La La Lee. He flexes an ability to literally stay cool while everyone else overheats in a sauna. Literally a sauna while he's in a fur coat. The best part, though, is when they move to a diner scene, as if it's a concession stand with the sauna guy still there. It was a shout out to the thanks video, I think, because they needed to check off that last part of the checklist of past eras they shout out. They went to the diner to make sure thanks got something in there too. While rocking out, SQ kind of throws up, spits out a coin while he's rocking out, which casually just lands perfectly in the tip jar. It's like he was carrying it since the Hot era, when he was throwing one around. Mingyu actually caught it later. He must have got it back at some point, though. Further back, the coin toss was part of 24 Hours, when Vernon threw it. Number 22, more uses of water and fire. There's a scene on a lake under that bridge in La La Lee. The body of water was a big deal in Hit. Hoshi and Dream kind of look like he was underwater with the stained glass illusion. Vernon stands holding a black umbrella now, like it's raining, but it looks kind of more like debris than just raining rain. It looks like the same umbrella June held up in Ima. Something sprints around that's on fire. In Very Nice, someone sprinted until they literally combusted. Someone ran around until their feet got on fire in Ima. Now something else is just totally on fire. So that escalated over time. And that something is a skeleton that seemed to come to life. Perhaps the skeleton Hoshi danced with in Hot. Then there's the wet hair look and the presence of waterfalls. Water is very symbolic for them. The waterfalls are a big part of Spell. At one point it's almost like waterfalls replaced walls. Number 23. The continued presence of literal transportation, adding to their message always of new journeys, new paths they're exploring. I thought about the bus that played such a big part in past eras like Ready to Love when I saw some of them at the bus stop in La La Lee. In Pinwheel, the last scene shows Woozy dropping a compass. Earlier he's seen holding a compass too. The compass is the main symbol. In Spell, June is a compass, but now it says LOVE in place of NSEW, north, south, east, west. Basically, the journey continues, letting love be their guide. Number 24, the final hotel room scenes in La La Lee. Not only do they have the cutouts from where they jump through the wall, but other things that have the feeling of past eras. They all lie down on the floor together, and quite a few of their past videos end with them all just lying on the floor together. Pretty you, Lily Yabai, adore you, thanks. And there's a pile of empty bottles, glass bottles, that surrounded Escu in Home Run as they toasted him. Plus, remember, the ship in the bottle, super meaningful part of Boom Boom. Number 25. The evolving background in the video for Spell. As they dance, there's a whole frickin' Aurora Borealis type event unfolding, plus lightning strikes. It's like the sky goes through every emotion as they dance on. That's meaningful, of course, because they're left unfazed by the changing world. They can handle it. But I also find it meaningful that they dance in front of melted snow, kind of melted. Parts of it, you see grass. So it's like a winter-spring transition setting. Kind of like they talked about escaping into a midpoint season of their own making, a 13th month of the year in their unit song, Lily Yabai. I would also note, though, the manufactured nature again of all this, which makes me think that snow is fake. In the background, formations come out of the snow, including a big heart and arms, like the arms that were sculpted out of sand in the desert in Hot. 26. Another key scene in Spell I wanted to highlight individually. Hoshi, as a butterfly, passes by, sits in a bedroom holding a glowing orb. This could represent like a fortune-telling ball. It could also be a reference to the silver ball in 24 Hours. It could be about literally taking the world, taking matters into your own hands, like he's treating it as a stand-in for a globe. Most meaningful, though, I think, is his outfit. As he holds this orb, this magical orb, he's in all white and has angel wings. Remember, the sign of a fallen, a tainted angel's wings was what Junhan had in Hot. So now I guess Hoshi might be who fate really had designated as the true pure angel in the story. Another notable part of that scene is that there's a heart-shaped piece of room decor, I guess, on the ground. A big heart, just like the one the snow formed before, and that's been a part of their love theme naturally this whole time. Like the whole Cupid's arrow choreography of Oh My. That feels very relevant again with the Greek mythology references. More on that in a minute. 27, I said, was the whole fortune-telling, taking things into your own hands premise that we already talked about. 28, the playing card scenes. How action unfolds via playing card on screen in Spell. Yet another testament to how impressive the range of tactics 17 use is. Just how expansive their willingness is to experiment with different ways of communicating musically. Yet again, they surprised us. There's so many notable details in those scenes that unfold within playing cards. Some symbols we talked about already, the compass, metallic silver looks, feathers, wings, the sun, obviously from the Face the Sun era, lots of sand, pink clouds like in the Dream era, twinkle lights, an all-white outfit, a ring of fire. There's a gap in a wall, and it's like the gap is being sealed by a pile of red roses. The dent in the wall kind of looks like an upside-down triangle, like the upside-down triangle shape of the image in which Junhan was seen acting in a scene within the scene. The movie within a movie used that shape as an indicator. The cards have different text at the bottom and a number at the top in Roman numerals. One of those being 5, a V, more on that in a minute. The text includes the wings, the arrow, the heart, the Apollo. That's the one I want to talk about. Really quick version of what Apollo is all about. Apollo is Zeus's son, who's dubbed the god of many things, sometimes called the god of dance, sometimes just music, sometimes both, plus healing, sometimes prophecies, fate, truth. He is the god of a lot of positive things. He's the god of archery, hence why I said the Cupid arrow dance move felt like foreshadowing now. Apollo, I could spend hours ranting about. He's in a ton of stories. Some notable myths include the mythology story where he curses out someone he was mad at, causing him to run for cover from Hades, from someone from a fiery world. So you could read into that. Or trying to come back from bad karma could be a lesson. It also could signal that he's not redeemable and he's sinful like Junhan was with the Icarus nod. Now June is the one with the Apollo text associated. Apollo also had a sacred site in these caves, which explains the cave-like setting in Spell. He also helped make famous leaf crowns, which makes sense given all the greenery that's been a staple in many 17 eras. So Calypso and Apollo, both very spot-on choices for 17 to include. Number 29, references to numbers and the passage of time. I love that they have a nod to 24/7, their song, with 247 being the hotel room number in La La Lee. And I always note the time, because it seems like someday I will end up seeing in my notes a full pattern, like a master schedule of the story chronologically. It's all coming together, so I will note now the time is 7:25. That is 2 hours exactly from when, 5:25, Escu's alarm went off in his Inner Shadow video, which was also when someone checked into the Dream Hotel in the Dream video. To get really conspiratorial, think about the hotel setup of Boom Boom. They're acting, they're carrying out a script's idea. They're cosplaying there as delivery guys who are supposed to be there, not trespassers. So in Boom Boom and in Dream, they're checking into a hotel to carry out surreal, larger-than-life plots. Now the action in La La Lee happens 2 hours later, so as stuff is in motion. Just something to think about. You could also say, hey, their clock is just on a different time zone, and it's actually still 5:25. I don't know. The point is, how frequently they draw attention to the exact time feels worth mentioning, like they want us to note it. One last pretty conspiratorial reference. Pretty sure they didn't mean to reference Accelerando, the sci-fi story series, but I'm going to talk about it anyway, because you know me, if you're a longtime listener, I dive deep into any book or movie referenced in K-pop material. So let's talk a bit about it, because it would match up with the dystopian premise of the Maestro era. So maybe I'm not reaching that far to assume they took some ideas from Accelerando, besides the fun word. I like to read the books I talk about on the show, but I'm sorry, this is like 800 pages, so if I'm missing stuff, that's why. The most succinct way to summarize Accelerando by Charles Stross is that it's a story in 3 parts, before, during, and after the simulation, a transformative moment for mankind. Part 1 is called Slow Takeoff, and it opens with a quote, "The question of whether a computer can think is no more interesting than the question of whether a submarine can swim," unquote. The main character is named Manfred. Part 2, the star is Manfred's daughter, so it's a next generation focus. And that part opens with this quote, "Life is a process which may be abstracted from other media." Part 3 is another generation down, where Manfred's daughter's son is the star. And the opening quote is from P.T. Barnum, "There's a sucker born every minute." The main characters include sentient things, so it can be kind of confusing to read because some of the characters are things that grew minds of their own. There's an increasingly intelligent robot cat. There's a sentient router called the Slug. Sentient virtual constructs of sorts, the Wunsch, a quantum state, nicknamed the Lobsters, a Borganism, a person with several bodies but one mind. Yeah, it's a lot to keep track of. There are 3 main parts, and 3 main parts of the 3 main parts. There you go, the story loves the number 3 too. Anyway, Part 1 has 3 stories, as does Part 2 and Part 3. In Part 1, Manfred decides to work with the Borganism to use AI for space colonization. Part 2, there are 3 plots within one of the 3 stories. Within one of the 3 stories, one plot is about his unhappy romantic life. One plot is about tech used to affect markets. And one plot is about tech used to upload everything copyrighted to the internet. The last story in Part 1, Manfred loses his memory to cyberware and has to rediscover who he is. Meanwhile, Manfred works on advancing legal rights for non-human entities, and that robot cat character starts a study of alien signals. Part 2 focused on Amber. She's a teen who deals with a very complicated, convoluted plot cooked up by Manfred and his second wife that gets her to break free from his first wife's influence. She basically turns her human self away into a shell company and mines material from a moon. More unconventional, you could say, legal maneuvers ensue, and she becomes totally sovereign from her mom through that bizarre set of steps. In Chapter 5, over 60 people upload themselves to be part of a virtual space crew. Then they defeat the Wunsch and travel to the wormhole. Part 6, after repeated times getting thwarted by other groups of aliens, the space crew gets saved by this smart robot cat, who helps them get a path back home after they help the Rogue Alien Corporation. That's the term for this virtual slug. Part 3 starts with this crew uploading themselves into new physical forms on a new home planet. I guess that's how you relocate in the solar system now. You upload yourself somewhere else. The sentient forms, called bailiffs, try to repossess people. Yeah, part of the way it's hard to read this is because you need to keep remembering terms. Like, you need a glossary for this stuff. Anyway, they try to repossess people, but get distracted by the slug. He's busy playing Economics 2.0 games based on a new economic system called a game that humans created. Chapter 8, some main characters travel to the router network for the sake of a political campaign. This part is a little extra, okay then, strange, like just go with it. Amber leads the Accelerationista political party, but she loses to the Conservationista party. However, Amber strikes a deal with the lobsters and then gets offered a new place, a path to a new place. So maybe she can govern an area after all. The last story is about a new network created by refugees, and this cat makes Manfred an offer. I've really missed a lot here, I'm sorry. To summarize it is very hard, but that's all I'll spend time on now, except for one main aspect. For the sake of the thought experiment, come with me down this train of thought where we act under the assumption, okay, sure, 17 did mean to reference the sci-fi book when they said accelerando in the lyrics. Here's why they would do that. If they did, the social commentary in some ways would make sense about trying to start anew, getting ahead of trends in technology, rewriting the rules, being the one in charge to make a new game as the game develops, staying with the times as a survival tactic, as a way of holding on to control, autonomy, the grit to deal with an unknown future by seizing the day, that attitude. The subplot about music copyright and everything people make, the way people discuss intellectual property. There's the ability to basically clone yourself, inhabit multiple bodies. 17 have dabbled in a cloning concept before. The way music is used to affect the public, the masses' moods and temperaments. There are some connections here. I'll link to some chapters you can read for free of Accelerando on my site with my other references if you really want to dig into it. Frankly, I would say it's a very interesting premise. Not sure I'm a fan of the execution of that premise. I did not care for the writing style. What this has in common with 17's story is the ability to make you think deeply about how music moves people, for better or worse, how it affects people, and what tools people have to communicate, to get through this life, to create a future. The transformative nature of creativity. There are quite a few ways you could see those thematic parallels. Wow, okay. I just saw the Cheers to Youth video, and it really just solidified so many of the points I was trying to make about what makes 17 spectacular artists. That was so moving, and it is the perfect finishing touch for this era. It really just reinforces everything I was talking about. It also reminded me why I became a Carat in the first place. What they do that's so touching and exceptional. How they reach people and have this beautiful inclusive message. I'll link to some past writing I did about what their music means to me specifically, giving me a sense of belonging. That personal essay I will include a link to in the description. Past episodes of 17 Talk, especially the 17th Heaven recap, also go into my personal connection to their work. A beautiful mix of paying homage to past eras and showing where their future is headed and continuing to dream bigger. There's a deeper meaning to the CGI come to life aspect of the video. It really adds on to the we are creating our own future, we are making it reality, like making a movie. Those analogies for we are turning what is fake, what is impossible, what is unreal, we're making it real. That expansive ability to limitlessly dream, view your imagination as conjuring up tangible things. That's what they did here. From transforming into a tiger, to a meerkat, to seeing a friend everywhere. It reminded me a bit of what I said in my TXT episode about The Little Prince, the story that inspired their Minisode 3 Tomorrow era. The Little Prince has that key quote about the most important things you don't see with the eyes. You see it with your spirit, your soul, and how adults lose that ability. So they only see what's literally right there in front of them. What is viewed as possible is so limited compared to the mind of a child. And TXT's music video universe characters, like the characters in the stories they're inspired by, Peter Pan, The Little Prince, they are viewed as the full, rich characters. The secondary, boring characters are the adults. The kids who can still see possibility and get creative with what they're seeing, those are the ones with the truly richest lives, the most colorful lives. So I got that sense of imagination and wonder from 17 in this video. They weren't just seeing what's there, they were seeing what could be there. Which goes perfectly with their message they really honed in on the last year or so, that everyone's welcome, music is a universal healing language, reaching people across barriers. Like in God of Music, even the animals join the party. They can get their own mini sound equipment even. They befriend animals, they befriend little kids, people their own age, the whole town. Everyone's invited to this big, beautiful party. And invited to show up as they are, with whatever instrument and style suits them. That celebration of individuality mixed with an open-armed sense of community. That's what the God of Music era was all about. And now, like a little kid, they don't just see themselves as making friends with humans. Remember, The Little Prince specifically said Earth is so boring because the people there don't talk to the fox, they don't talk to the flowers, they only talk to fellow humans. Just like hearing an echo. 17, in touch with their inner child still. They have a pet rock in this video. They befriend robots this era, technology. They have this goldfish. They turn their cell phone into basically a goldfish. You'll understand if you see it. One day Woozy couldn't emotionally show up for a club meeting, so in his place he put this digital screen for a face makeshift person with his jacket on to pose as him. One of them still took the form of a CGI tiger for the meeting. So again this time, it was about showing up as you feel suits you, as much as you can show up in that moment. What form showing up looks for you doesn't matter, you're welcome. The animals, the plants, the humans, the robots, it's all able to turn into part of this community. A lot of this goes back to Mingyu's Inner Shadow video. His Inner Shadow era video with the metronome symbolism. We already talked about that, and obviously that's back in a big way, literally big, with the giant metronome. So much action unfolds in front of in Maestro. Also the message Mingyu questioned in that video. How do I know when I'm making music versus just making noise? The God of Music video kind of showed how that noise became music when you were in community, not in isolation. Once again here, they are learning how to make music as the maestro, making anything part of the orchestra, the skate ramps for example, because they're with other people. Again, it's a mix of let's celebrate what you individually can bring to the orchestra and celebrate the fact we're all here together to play the same song. Joshua's role. Very big in this video. Very meaningful how he has this cubicle in a boring office. He has a scene where everyone around him is going to work, going about daily life with black umbrellas on a rainy day. He does not have a black umbrella, but someone brings one to him at work. And these lyrics are about little things that cheer you up and make today feel more manageable. It's that celebration of showing up for each other. The little ways are still a big deal. And show up however that looks right for you. Joshua also cheers up at work when he gets a goofy flyer promoting a special Shua Cat Club, a Joshua Meerkat Club, where it's written as if it's in from a group of meerkats, thanking Joshua for seeing them and wanting to befriend them, welcoming him to be an honorary meerkat. Everyone around him, walking around on a dreary day, they have an identical umbrella, and what he gets back at his cubicle is not just an umbrella to fit in with everyone else, but the bonus of the flyer, an extra dose of laughs that the others didn't get. That little gesture made his day more special than theirs. I love that Woozy's role is not just the digital alter ego gets to take his place when he doesn't feel like going out, but that it doesn't replace human interaction either. It's his supplement for a bad day, just substitute his physical presence with that computerized, homemade robot kind of person. But later he gives a bouquet to this elderly woman, a woman who helped him dress up his makeshift person. It's such a cool twist. They're not showing how tech can be used for convenience, but how it can ironically make people closer, get IRL connections to be stronger. That's kind of the case with Seungkwan and DK in this video too, when they team up to raise that pet fish that's basically a digital robotic creation of a kind. They actually use tech to enhance their IRL worlds. I love the club meeting setup. First of all, there are 5 main people and chairs at the meeting. 5 has been meaningful in their past work. Besides that, Joshua shows up as his meerkat self, but when they all stare up at the camera, that bird's eye view again, he's just in his human form. Like he no longer needs to cosplay. He feels more content with who he is when he's at this meeting with his buddies. A meeting of the Tissue Club, which the banner specifies stands for Tiny Issue Club. That's such a cool way to think of it. Tissues are for tiny issues. It's a way to kind of remind yourself to put in perspective what's making you upset and remember you have more strength to deal with it than you think. Love that so much. And it ties in really nicely with the emphasis on tears, literally the eyes as like windows to the soul, eye and tear symbolism that's been present all along. It's also notable that Seungkwan, later in the video, has this bruise on one eye and around it. Made me think about how, in a separate new video, the 8th wears an eye patch. Like, these friends are feeling each other's pain. Quicker now, let's assess what else this has in common with the other new videos. The go-to diamond branding. There's a diamond shape in the math textbook DK is working on. There's also a diamond form on the bulletin board, where notably there are ending credits. There's that movie theme, which we also got partway through when the camera perspective shifts to like someone filming. Like you are part of the action, you're the one holding the camera. Those Polaroids are on the bulletin board at the end, as opposed to being taken in real time. Like in past videos, you know the iconic moment. SQ sets the timer on the camera, jumps in the shot last minute before the flash goes off. This time, he doesn't do that. We don't see him take the picture. It's already taken. One of the ways this is an epilogue of sorts, and last week on 17's Adventures recap, looking ahead now to a new chapter. The way they incorporate light pink and blue, rose quartz and serenity, if you want to be specific, into this video is nice. The diamond symbol in the workbook is the perfect shade of blue. Then there's Woozy's jacket, a nice shade of pink, that one he gives to the robot person. There's an eye theme, yet again, with Junhan and the eye chart scenes, and him getting glasses, but not needing them by the end of the video. Some of the things on the eye chart he read, very notable. The C, presumably for carat, the @ symbol, the thumbs up icon. It could be a lyric reference. Thumbs up, all I see here is the love. Or a very nice nod. Either way, having it with the nod to Carats is sweet. The words "forever is a lie," which would explain why a theme in this video is also pictures and making sure you take in and cherish moments to keep them fresh in your memory, recognizing the temporariness of time and the need to enjoy the here and now with the people around you. Very on brand. This is a stretch, but you know me. There's a number 18 on a book on DK's desk. Number 18. In your choice, in the album, they listed Carat I Love You in 18 languages. The anchor poster, the boat dock setting, that stuff at this point, I think we understand the symbolism of here. The fact they're both daytime and nighttime scenes, that back and forth again. The role of a playing card again, this one held up by Woozy, when a literal work of art, an end result of the painting theme in past eras, sits on the table in front of him. DK flips around this Tissue Club meeting PSA, and on the back is a piece of mirror. There's the wall Woozy pulls a puzzle piece out of, like a wall is made entirely of a completed puzzle, but he takes one piece out, so light can come in. There's so much more I could say. Ian probably will feel like, oh, I forgot to say it upon rewatches. But wow, they really do tie in so many details that have to do with that message. Hey, we're still us, we're still right here, but we're changing. A tribute to their past, present, future, and the consistency in all three of valuing, prioritizing, embracing friendship and each other. It's so wholesome, it's so sweet. Gotta love it. That's it for part 1 and 2 of this episode. The future of the show is a little up in the air for many reasons. More often now, you will get Substack updates over podcast episodes, so follow me, link in description, and 17caratkpop.substack.com. I'll keep giving you interviews, deep dive essays, shorter recaps of the news, cheat sheet versions of episodes like this. You can just see the notes I took for these eras and not hear my ramble about them. If you're a paying subscriber, you get cheat sheet access, other bonus goodies, a lot of variety. So please do support my work there and still follow this show. That will be key for my return. But just please note it may be more sporadic than it used to be. There are a lot of personal things I'm working on right now, also just side jobs and a lot going on. But the more people who support me financially, contribute to the show, links in description for how, the sooner I can get back to uploading more episodes. If you support and value my work, please keep streaming, spreading the word. I really want to think there's a big enough audience to keep this going and talk about K-pop and music with the depth and passion it deserves. Please prove there's an audience for that, and please make my dream come true, especially as an autistic person. A lot of issues when it comes to connecting with people, all the things this podcast is a saving grace about. So I'll get emotional, so I'm going to stop here. Thank you all for tuning in, and please do stay tuned. But just know, kind of up in the air, what's happening. But thank you all so much, and I will talk to you all again. Please stay tuned. Please help this go on. Bye, everybody.